I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. Please do subscribe down below. And also, if you'd like to get entered to win a Tiny Hawk coming up on December 2nd, I'm giving this one away to one of my subscribers on the channel, so please do click subscribe. After that, make a comment down below and let me know where you're from, and you'll get entered to win this Tiny Hawk by December 2nd. Also, if you'd like to become my Patreon on the channel, I have several different tiers available. If you want to support me and these videos help you out, especially the new guys getting into it, I can answer your questions and give you honest opinions on what gear is out there, what you might start out with, and any type of tech related questions you have about FPV racing or building, I can help you out with. But let's go ahead and get started with this review. This is a first look at the Top Sky Prime S goggles. They're kind of like a hybrid sort of box goggle slash binocular style goggle, kind of like the Fat Sharks, all incorporated and rolled up into one set of goggles. They're really, really neat. They also have a 1S built-in 2000 milliamp per hour battery, so it's going to have a long battery life, and the screen is actually a little bit smaller than some of the more popular goggles out there, but it does have built-in diopters as well. So guys that are nearsighted or farsighted, you can adjust these, and you also have IPD adjustment as well in conjunction with the diopter on here, which is really neat. I haven't seen that before on a lot of different goggles, but the diopter is basically going to move the screen in and out for you to adjust the distance that your eyes are seeing the screen. But it also has a built-in DVR and some other really, really cool options. But to make this video great for you, I'm going to do some flying with it. We're going to do some real-world testing with my QX65 sitting over here on the bench. And we'll record some of the DVR. I believe it's 640 by 480 screen resolution on these, so we'll see how the DVR looks. And then we'll come back in the studio and I'll give you my opinion, my honest opinion on the new Top Sky Prime goggles. Here we go. Okay, here we go. We have that crowd favorite. This is the QX65 that I reviewed on the channel last week. There's a lot of indoor whoops out right now, and why not show you this one again, because it's so precise. I can just barely make it under those kids' chairs. It's a little tight in those chairs, but once I get going, you do a couple batteries and then you usually get warmed up a little bit. It takes me a little while, but I'm just gonna do kind of an impromptu course around the living room right here, just barely making it through this little gap right here. Super treacherous. It kept going up against the chair for some reason. The ducted fans would grab the chair, and like I said, the QX65, a really nice durable frame on here and pretty precise for brushed motors. This one comes in around $50, but the star of the show today is the Prime 1S goggles that I'm flying from Top Sky, and this is what the DVR looks like, which actually looks pretty decent for 640 by 480. The QX65 has a decent 700 TVL camera on here, so this is about the kind of DVR that you can expect from Prime 1 goggles. Prime 1S, it looks okay to me for $75. I don't have any complaints so far yet. And I was kind of skeptical about the newest pair of Top Sky goggles. There's been a lot of hype about these goggles for the last 6 months. I did see that they were coming out, and they were out of stock forever. They're finally in stock. Some places it's still on pre-order. There we go, bumping into the chair again. But for my eyesight, I had to move the diopters all the way out to the farthest point because I am a little bit nearsighted. So if you're a little bit nearsighted, take the time to adjust the diopter all the way out, probably for you, just like me if you're nearsighted, and adjust the IBD adjustments too. And I think you'll get a pretty good view. It is nice that it does have 2 points of focus, because a lot of goggles out there only have 1 point of focus, and sometimes with the box goggles the screen doesn't have any type of distance adjustment, and that's for the cheaper pair. If you buy a cheaper pair that's around the $50 range, you're going to get something with a locked-in screen, and if your eyes don't really focus on what's in front of you, you can't really use that set of goggles, and that's kind of a bummer. So trying to find your first pair of goggles, it's super important to try them out sometimes before you just go ahead and put your money down and buy some, honestly. A lot of times at the field, I'll let people try my goggles on, and my SkyZone O2s are my favorite, and I will list those down below because for binocular goggles, I feel like they outperform the Fat Sharks in a lot of ways, and they're a lot cheaper as well. I think the O2s are around $300, but these have no problems with performance. The menus are great, and I have a pretty nice color saturation on the screens in front of me as well for that 4:3 ratio at 640 by 480. This is looking really good, especially for someone who's just getting into the hobby. This is absolutely awesome for $75. So let's go ahead and go to the bench real quick, and we'll take a little closer look at the goggles. All right, guys, welcome back from the flight test. The DVR footage looked pretty good. So let's go ahead and talk about the Prime 1S FPV goggles that we have here from Top Sky. Something new from those guys, and you see the original FX7s back there in the very back. We have the Sky O3s from SkyZone, which are also good goggles, and the more expensive HD3s back here, and they also have the new Fat Shark HDOs, but a lot of those goggles are in the $400 to $500 range, and these are actually under $100, which I find kind of amazing that they've packed all these features into sort of a hybrid goggle design and made everything really accessible. I like where the buttons are. It's easy to get to the menus. It's also easy to start and stop the DVR. You can take snapshot stills, which really not that needed that much, but you can do it. I do like the fact that it charges up the 1S 2000 milliamp battery inside pretty quickly, within a couple hours time. And the battery, most importantly, you guys have to know this, there's a little hatch on the very bottom, and you can take the battery out. It is replaceable, so that's really, really awesome that it is replaceable. Now, one pet peeve of mine that I gotta say right away, I started out looking at this box thinking, oh, this is awesome. It has a patch antenna over here, and I have a right-hand circular polarized there, antenna inside, and neither one of those were in there. So I got the stick antennas with mine, which maybe some of them are shipping with this, but it's kind of a bummer to see that on the box and then open it up and get dipole antennas. These will work, but you want to replace these with a nice patch and a cloverleaf or a pagoda antenna for your maximum range. Now, they are 86-degree field of view, 640 by 480 screens, and they have sort of these, what I've seen before on other types of goggles. You have this interpupillary distance adjustment for these two screens right here, and there's one single large screen inside here that these two lenses magnify, which is kind of cool. One other con that I did see right away with these is that I needed to put an extra piece of foam right here for the bridge of my nose, because my nose was actually hitting right here, and that was kind of a bummer that it was kind of sharp right here. So if you have a larger face, you might have to put another piece of foam in there to accommodate that ridge line right there where your nose is going to rest. So, but otherwise, pretty comfortable as long as I could keep them high up on my head. And like I said, there is an internal screen right here, and it's 2.4 inches, and it's also 4 by 3. So it's interesting to me because I'm a little bit nearsighted, I guess, and kind of makes it hard for me to adjust. So depending on whether you wear glasses or not, that is what's going to be appropriate to you. So you do have two ways to focus these goggles, which is really great. You have the IPD right here, interpupillary distance adjusters. That moves these little screens right here, little lenses back and forth. Now the diopter changes the reference between the screens. So I believe there's two screens inside here. Since we have a diopter adjustment on each side, it would bring that screen in and out on each side and adjust it per eye, so per your vision on each eye, which is really kind of cool. It does say to use both hands to adjust the diopter, so you can move these in and out, which is really cool. But I found myself wanting to move it a little further away rather than close in. The further away, it just seemed a better match for me. Now your buttons on the very top of the goggles, you have two types of buttons here. We have joysticks in the middle, and those are for selecting your modes. You can press down also to make a selection, and also here with your DVR, you can press this in the middle and hold down and jump right into your recorded videos, and you can also see your stills in your library. You can also go back and delete your videos, which is kind of neat. You have a micro SD card port right underneath the first level right here. the ridge line which goes around the top, and I believe it takes up to a 32 gigabyte card. And over on the right hand side we have power, your photo button, and record. If you want to press and hold that, it'll start recording, and press again to stop the recording. Over on the left hand side we have band, channel, and a search option, and this search button works pretty good. The first time I powered up the goggles, I hit search and it went around the channels and the bands and found my channel pretty quickly and which band I was on. So I was kind of impressed with the search function. Now what I also like about this is on the very bottom right here we have the USB port on this side for charging the internal battery, and this worked out pretty well. Once you plug in this little cord that came with it, it's this red little USB cable. It's nice because it does show you a blue light on the side when it's charged, and I'll show you guys that here on the screen. And when you plug them in while they're charging, you'll see a red light, which is also kind of cool. So you know they're charging, and they're blue when they're all ready and topped up and ready to go. Now on the bottom here we also have some extra stuff which is also really cool. We have a headphone jack, our diopter wheel right there. These are two wheels that go back and forth that adjust those screens in and out, and your interpupillary distance adjustments right here for your lenses that I showed you before. And you have your AV in right here. You have an on-off switch for your RX, which is kind of cool. And you have a battery door, a trap door right here. So if you stick a screwdriver or something in here, you can pop this hatch open and you can remove the internal battery if you do need to replace it or you want to upgrade it. And I think the straps that come with Top Sky goggles are always pretty decent. They do have adjustable sides and tops. It's just a little piece of Velcro that you can pull out and adjust. You can do it while they're on your head, or you can do it while they're off. Either way, it's also adjustable on that top strap. And I found that the top strap was actually kind of comfortable, so I was wearing those quite a bit during my testing for you guys. Now I popped this door off, and you want to set this to the side to access your battery bay. It is a 1S battery that's along this rail right here, and there's a little JST connector right here. You can unplug that to pull the battery out. I'm not sure how hard the battery is to remove. Let's just do this the first time together. There we go. So not bad. I was able to get that 1S 2000 milliamp battery out, and this does look like something different than I've ever seen. You might have to actually source this from Top Sky, because it might be kind of interesting to find a 2000 milliamp battery that this flat. You might be able to find one on Google somewhere, but you might as well use the Top Sky brand, because it's honestly it's probably going to be just as cheap as ordering it off of Amazon or somewhere else. I'm going to go ahead and plug this in. Let's just see how easy that is to get back in there. Not bad at all, actually. It looked a little harder than I thought it was going to be. Actually very easy to take the battery in and out. Now I'm going to put that back on there, and now the battery's back in the battery hatch, and that's as easy it is to get the battery in and out. Not bad. Now I'm going to go ahead and plug in our little quad here, and I'll show you some of the settings inside. Just plug in that little QX, and that's the QS65. So I'm going to go ahead and press the power button. You press and hold, and it should come on. And one other thing I need to mention is that the foam that comes with it, it is on some type of 3M adhesive, and this bottom part right here was kind of coming off on me for some reason. So you do get an extra pair of these. So it just has a little piece of double-sided sticky tape that holds on your foam around the faceplate. Now, one thing I did notice, that there was a little bit of light leak right around here on my face. Now, that might not be the same for you, but just want to let you guys know as an honest review. But let's go ahead and you can see the inside there, the way these lenses sort of look without putting your face up to it. But let's go ahead and hit the search button, and we'll just run it around. You can see the bands inside there. It's searching. That's pretty cool. It's going around. We'll see how long it takes to come back all the way around. All right, not too bad. A pretty quick search, actually. Not bad at all. So let's go ahead and we'll go into the menu real quick for you. And I'm going to press up on the top joystick, and it takes me into the menu there. You can see at the very top you have options for changing your diversity. So it has a few different options there. It has fast, you can see fast there, and if I press to the right, medium, and also slow. So fast, medium, and slow. That's kind of cool. So we can change the diversity. We'll change it to fast. I can also change my brightness by pushing left or right there, going up and down. I can change the contrast, color, volume. I can do the gain, red gain, green gain, and blue gain. So if your goggles look a little bit like they have too much blue hue in it, you actually back off the blue hue, which is kind of a cool option. And then you can change English to Chinese, and I believe that's the only 2 languages. And the menus are very simple. I'm going to say that the menus are super simple. They're not very complicated. That's pretty much all there is to the menus. So let's go ahead and let's weigh these in comparison to some of the other goggles that are on the bench. Okay, so I got the scale on, and let's just go ahead and make sure it's set to grams, and go ahead and set the goggles on there. And now this is with the built-in 1S 2000 milliamp battery. Not a huge battery, but we're at 389 grams, and that's all the weight you're going to have on your head. If you use something like a Fat Shark or Sky Zone goggles and you put the battery on your head, it's going to be a lot heavier than 389 grams. Now let's go ahead and weigh the Fat Shark HD3s, 236, and that's without the battery. So the battery is going to get you on upwards of 380 grams. The Sky Zone 03s, 211. Some of the lighter ones actually, and the original Top Sky FX7s around 227 grams. So those are all pretty competitive for the weights, but I think that with the battery and all the bells and whistles right there, for under 400 grams is not actually too bad. And so I think these goggles are good. My first impression of the Prime 1S is that they're really well built. They are very solid. They feel better in my hands than the original FX7s that Top Sky made. Top Sky really came out wanting to impress a lot of people in our community, and they did really listen to a lot of people, and they did a lot of research and development to make that FX7 pair of goggles. It didn't become the favorite, but there's been a lot of hype around Facebook and the internet on the Prime 1S coming out, and now I kind of feel like these might actually be worth the hype because they are $79. And I think I can put a coupon link down below and you guys can get them even cheaper. Maybe you can get them, I believe it's a 6% discount on that coupon, that new coupon for GearBest. And that should lower it down to like, I don't know, around $73 or so. But very good deal for a sort of a binocular style goggles, but also has built-in diopters. So if you wear glasses, you should be able to adjust these according to your eyesight, because if you buy diopters for the Fat Shark goggles on the German website, you're going to pay as much for the diopters as you're going to pay for your goggles. They're very expensive to buy diopters for the Fat Shark goggles, but really cool that these are sort of a hybrid style goggle. They have built-in DVR, diversity. They have 48 channels on here. It is a 4:3 setup, so guys that don't like 16:9, this is what you can start out with. If you want to move up to another set of goggles later and get 16:9, that's totally up to you. But a lot of people do fly 4:3, and a lot of race pilots like 4:3 versus the 16:9 aspect ratio. That's just their preference. So that's totally up to you on what you're going to get used to, but it does say in the specs that it does support an SD card up to 32 gigabytes as well, so nothing over 32, and I actually do have a 32 in there for recording our flights today. So pretty cool that it does have pretty much all the bells and whistles that I'm looking for. It has extra foam included with it and tons of accessories, and it came in a fairly small box, and I think they're probably some of the more interesting looking goggles that I've seen out there lately. They're pretty low profile for sort of a box hybrid style goggle, and they do perform pretty well. So depending on your eyesight as well, if you're not nearsighted, these are probably going to be a little bit better for you. If you are nearsighted, and it just depends on your level of nearsightedness, I guess. So it also has an option in here. When you put your SD card in, it will tell you that there is an SD card in there. If it does not have an SD card in there, it will tell you that it has no SD. So it also has a low power warning. So if you're flying with these and this internal battery starts to get low, you could actually go ahead and come back in and land, which is great, because otherwise I've had goggles actually go dim on me all the way and just black out while I was flying. Usually I'm not flying without line of sight, so I'm able to come back and land. But something to think about: if you get a pair of goggles, you definitely want a warning before your battery just up and dies on you. Now, one other thing about these goggles that I really like a lot is the fact that the battery life seemed to be okay, but I think the battery life could be a little bit longer, and the way to be able to change that battery out and be able to get to this trapdoor right here, if you wanted to add an even bigger battery to this set of goggles, all you'd really have to do is unplug this, leave the trapdoor off, or you can Dremel a hole in it and bring your battery out and mount it on the bottom right here, and you could double up the size of this battery. I wouldn't really suggest using any type of 2S battery on here. You want to stick to the 3.7 volt battery if you do order one that's a little bit bigger. But how cool is that you could just plug in something else a little bit larger and set it out here, and maybe put a little piece of Velcro on the bottom, because it doesn't cover up anything right here if you decided to add something there. Or you can extend this wire down and put the battery in your pocket, which a lot of people prefer to do, and that even lightens up the goggles a little bit more. So the Prime 1S's are a direct competitor to the Fat Shark Recon goggles, in my opinion, and I think these might actually be a little bit better. They don't have that full screen view up front. They actually have two lenses back here, and they created something sort of new to the market. This is really neat for me to see something like a hybrid style goggles. I've been using the binocular style goggles forever, and I've been a big hater of box goggles. I mean, I'm just gonna be totally honest with you guys. I don't like the way box goggles feel on my head. They feel gigantic, but these are super small for a box goggle, sort of binocular style hybrid pair of goggles. They don't hang really far off your face, and they're light enough that the battery inside doesn't really annoy me with the weight. So I think a lot of goggles out there, I don't like the battery being on the side right here. I usually take and I run an XT60 wire, and I put the battery in my pocket to lighten it up, because when you're flying for a long time, it starts to really wear on you. So it's nice that these are under 400 grams, and I think the screens look decent. They are 680 by 480. They're not the highest resolution out there that you can get, but then again, these are only around the $75 range. So I think that if you're just getting started, you want a really easy pair of goggles to work with that have all just really foolproof buttons and features on it. Really simple menu and navigation. Kids could use these goggles. They're actually really a good size for kids as well. So kids or adults, either way you go with these goggles, the price and the ease of use and the functionality, and they seem to be well built as well. So I think the construction looks awesome. They look really nice, and they feel nice and solid in my hand. They don't feel cheap like the FX7s feel, just a little bit janky. Not a big fan of the X7s, but again, I think that Top Sky has probably hit a home run with this pair of goggles, and I'm going to rate these at a pretty high rating. I have been using them this week for about 4 days, and I can honestly say that I'm going to rate these at 4.9 out of 5 stars. So super high rating for this new pair of goggles, and we're going to continue to test these this month, and if they break or something goes wrong with them, I'll let you know on the channel. Ask me in a few weeks how they're doing, and I'll let you guys know. But make your comments down below, and be sure to subscribe and get entered in to win that Tiny Hawk, man. Emax Tiny Hawk. We're giving it away on December 2nd, so be prepared. It's going to somebody's front door. But thanks again for watching, you guys. I'm Justin Davis. I really appreciate it. I'll see you on the next one.